Hello everyone, I am Alex Ellis. I am not currently teaching at the moment. I am a customer advocate at a tech company in Raleigh, but I'm hoping to teach Spanish somewhere in Wake County. And today I will be talking to you all about the theory of multiple intelligences. So what is the theory of multiple intelligences? So that is a theory proposed by Howard Gardner in 1983 that claims that there are various different types of human intelligence which represent different ways that we process information. Essentially, it just means that there's no one-size-fits-all type of learning and intelligence, as some people had thought in the past, that everybody learns and processes information in different ways. So based on Gardner's theory, there are various different types of intelligences as listed here. Verbal, which is the ability to think in words and use language to express meaning. Mathematical, spatial, ability to think three-dimensionally. Body kinesthetic, ability to manipulate objects and be physically adept. Musical, pretty self-explanatory. Intrapersonal, ability to understand oneself and effectively direct one's life. Interpersonal, ability to understand and effectively interact with others. And naturalist, ability to observe patterns in nature and understand natural and human-made systems. So all of these different types of intelligences, nobody has just one type of intelligence as proposed by the theory. It's to be interpreted that you could have, you could be verbal and spatial or mathematical and musical. These are just different categories that he proposes that you can use to help guide learning. And there aren't just these categories. Other people have proposed that, there are more types of learning than are listed here, but this is just a foundation from which we can go on. Some of the additional resources that I used were the Simply Psychology article, which I've included the image here, which shows the different types of intelligences as listed by Gardner's theory. And that article also has a video that goes along and kind of explains the theory. Then I also have included an Edutopia video with Howard Gardner. It's actually an interview that he did back in the 90s where he's discussing his theory and its applications. I found it very useful. There's another Edutopia article that had research on the multiple intelligences. Again, it did a deep dive into what it was and its applications. The next resource was an Atlas Next blog post, in which the author explained how they would use the theory in the classroom. And the final article was titled Adapting Instruction to Multiple Intelligences, and this gave really practical advice as to how you would use this and adapt it to your instruction. So what does this look like in action? So it can be applied in the classroom in a very practical way by giving students different options for assignments. So when I was thinking about this and how I would use this theory in my own classroom, for a Spanish classroom, I thought about when you're learning vocabulary and phrases about food, for example. So what I would do is give students a variety of choices for the project instead of just a general assessment. Give them something that can prove that they know the material without, pigeonholing them into one type of assessment. So things such as creating a recipe, writing a song about their favorite food, creating a poster illustrating different food groups, things like that that'll give them all different kinds of options to, again, prove that they've learned the material, but without limiting them to one specific type of assessment or intelligence. And because essentially we want to make sure that they are actually learning the material and absorbing it and internalizing it as opposed to just regurgitating it. And so when you tap into those different intelligences that each of us has and give the opportunity to show that you've learned the material through one of those other modalities, it will, give students the opportunity to shine. So what are some of the key takeaways here? In general, the key takeaways are that there are many different ways that people learn and absorb information. Another thing we should really remember is that education isn't one size fits all, and we need to make sure, even with this theory, within the theory, not to pigeonhole students into one type of intelligence, but that to recognize that there are multiple intelligences that people and students can demonstrate, and that adding variety to lessons and activities can really help students truly learn and not just memorize and regurgitate information. So the question that I would leave you with is, taking a look at your own classroom, how could you apply this theory to one of your lessons, to one of the topics that you're teaching? How could you really make this something that you can apply? Obviously, one of the challenges with this is that there's only so much we can do, and obviously you can't do 8 different types of teaching going along with each of the different types of intelligences. So it's taking what you can and adapting it in the best way that you can. So that's the question I would leave you with, is how would you use this in your day-to-day? How would you make this theory applicable in your classroom so that students can learn all the material and not just regurgitate it for a test or an assessment? So I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch my presentation. Here are my citations. Thank you so much for going through all this with me, and I look forward to seeing all of your presentations. Thank you so much.